Landing of the Pilgrims at Plymouth. On a bitterly cold day in December of the year 1620, the ship Mayflower came sailing into Plymouth Harbor. The people on board had been 100 days upon the sea and had now reached their new home. Let us suppose ourselves on board and look with their eyes upon the scene before them. No friends to welcome them, no place where their ship may land, no house in which to spend even one night, and 19 families, 101 people on board. The men came to shore in small boats, began at once to cut down trees, and after hard work made one large rude house where all might stay for a time. Then each family made for itself a log hut, placing them in 2 rows for safety, as the Indians might attack them and they wished to be together. As soon as they could, they carried their goods, which they had brought from their homes in England, on shore and began housekeeping. If you visit Plymouth now, you may see pieces of furniture, dishes, and many other things which have been saved all these years. A wee tiny baby was born on the broad ship. A wee tiny baby was born. Dyslexia. A wee tiny baby was born on board the ship. He was named Peregrine White. Peregrine means a wanderer or pilgrim. His cradle is still kept at Plymouth. There were no stores where these people could buy provisions. No, the men must go and beep. That means turn the page. We have a nice atmosphere. As I was saying, no, the men must go and catch fish, dig clams, or hunt in order to get food for their families. A hard life, wasn't it? Especially for the women and the little children. By the time April came to cheer them, with her promise of sunny, warm days, there were 42 graves on the hillside. The Indians watched their numbers so closely that the Pilgrims planted corn over these graves so that they might not know how few of their men were left. Before the year was over, the governor whom they had chosen made a treaty of peace with the Indians. 20 Indians and their chiefs, in war paint and feathers, marched into one of the huts. Then the governor and his men met them, marching to the music of drums and trumpets, and promises of peace were given. Have you been wondering why these people left their homes in England and came to live in these forests? They wished to be free to worship God in the way they saw it was right. They would rather live in this wild country than stay in their pleasant homes and worship as the King of England told them. They had no beautiful churches, but must travel through the forest to a rough log building. The men carried their guns to protect themselves from wild animals or from sudden attacks of the Indians. When the spring came, the Mayflower sailed back to England. How many of the Pilgrims went back with her? Not one. Were they not brave and true? They had come here to be free, and they would stay in spite of hardship. They watched the ship as it left the harbor, now and then turning their faces to brush away the tears which they could not keep back. The brave little arbutus sprang up under their feet upon the hillsides and seemed to clear them with its sweet fragrance. They called it the Mayflower, and as they knelt to gather it from beneath its rough leaves, a whisper came to their hearts that these hard times would soon pass away, and the sweet blossom of hope would spring into life. And they lived happily ever after. The end.